What's up guys, this is Ivan from Imagine Vanguard, and today we have a fantastic deck profile of Atlas. You may have remembered him from the video he did against Aquaforce, and he finally accepted to do his deck profile. Atlas is a member of Team Nexus Corps, so be sure to check him out on YouTube. And Atlas does Nexus at night, right?
Yeah.
This is your SoundCloud, so...
It's SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, so be sure to check him out. So, let's start with the deck.
Yeah, so first off, before I start, this is the correct way to use gifts. This is when it's inactive, this is when it's active.
Good.
So, that has nothing to do with anything. But, starting off, Guiding Zombie, every other starter in Standard, right on top of a draw card, it is literally our only option. 4 copies of Baskirk. I'm working on getting SVRs, just bear with me. But so he's a 12k grade 3 with the Protect gifts. Once per turn, you can counterblast Soul Blast, call someone from Drop Zone, and he gets plus 5k for each grade of the card you called. So if you call a grade 1, he gets 5. If you call a grade 3, he gets 15. This is great for getting a free call every turn. It also incentivizes rewriting him so you get more soul. Typically the thing you're going to call is Stole Dragon, but it can also be things like Ruin Shade or Nightmist. The other skill is if you have 10 or more cards in Drop Zone during your turn, he gets 5k and a crit at all times on your turn, So it's just a constant form of pressure that you don't have to work very hard for. And it's a really good card, and I like that he's good, because back in the day, old Baskirk was a Mega Blast, and those were terrible. So, 3 copies of Stole Dragon. So, grade 3, 12k Protect Gifts. On Vanna Rear, he gets plus 2k for every card in Drop Zone during your turn. He can't be called from hands, and after he attacks on Rearguard Circle, he retires himself. So this seems like a bad thing, but the later in the game this is, the more cards in your drop you have, this puts on a lot of pressure for, again, not much effort, because you can call this out with Baskirk or Evil Shade or Captain Nightmist. And then also, this is not a terrible ride either, because he gets passive power just for having cards in drop, and he gets you a Protect gift. There have been a fair number of times where I have ridden Skull Dragon when they were at 5, which means that he's attacking for like 64k, and the crit doesn't matter at that point, but big numbers do. So, 1 copy of Violence Flanger. So this is
the Hulk.
No, it's like, how are they not getting sued by Marvel right now? I know. Grade 3, 12k, no gift, but on Vanna Rear, once per turn, you can Soul Blast a grade 3, discard any number of cards. He gets plus 5k, and then the opponent can't guard with Sentinels, and the grade of the cards that you discarded. So if you go 0, 1, 2, they can't guard with anything, and no Protect gifts either because no Sentinels.
Right.
So, this is quite good as a finisher, but you have to have a very specific setup for it to work, so it's not like worth it to run multiple of him. It's not like the deer gets you a gift, at least this does not. You can also close out games pretty well by just constantly pressuring Baskirk and Stole Dragon, so it's like a way to win, but it's not super important, so that's why he's at 1. I had him at 2 for a while, but I kept seeing both of them at the same time, and I didn't want that, so 4 copies of Ruin Shade, super important. Grade 2, 9k. On Vanna Rear, when she attacks a Vanguard, you can mill 2 cards, and then she gets plus 4k until in battle. And then on Rearguard, if you have 4 or more if you have 10 or more cards in Drop Zone, she gets 4k at all times. So this means that you can hit Force Vanguards just by milling early game. If it's later game, you don't have to mill, and it still hits Force numbers. And that it also means that if you do mill, then you can hit numbers with Dandy Guy Romario, because it's a 29k column. So, very good card at all times of the game. Very important. 4 copies of Commadore Blueblood. So on Rear, if you have another copy in Drop Zone, he gets 4k during your turn. And then on hit, you can retire him to draw 2 cards and discard a card. So this lets you set up your Drop Zone, draw more cards, and put on pressure in the early and mid game. Not so much late game, but hits Force numbers on his own later, so that's cool. 4 copies of Nightmist. 1 placed on Rear, you counterblast 1, call a grade 1 from drop. or grade 1 or less from drop, but if you have 10 or more cards when he hits the board, you can call anything instead. So this lets you get, Norman the Ghostie to help you get to 10 cards and drop. It also lets you get Skull Dragon just for a counterblast. So, very nice card.
See you, man.
I'll see you Thursday?
Yeah. Sorry.
Somebody was saying goodbye. Whatever. 4 copies of Dandy Guy Romario.
Sorry, man.
Another very important card. So, when you ride on top of him, you counterblast one.
Send me the list against the matches. Sorry.
When you ride on top of him, put a card from hand to soul, mill 3 cards, and then pick a card from drop zone and put it in your hand. So this lets you help set up your drop zone for Baskirk and for Nightmist, but like anything that looks for the 10 cards you drop. It also gives you soul, so you can, use Baskirk more, and then also if you have 10 or more cards in drop, he gets plus 4k on your turn. So 12k booster, which means with Ruin Shade or Commodore Blueblood, that's a 29k column. One thing that does suck is I'll have a thing where you want to ride him, like Circle Magus, you want to ride him, and I'll ride something else, and then draw off of Guiding Zombie, and I'll draw this, because that's just how my luck is. So that has nothing to do with the deck, that's just a bad thing.
Yeah, it's the luck of Vanguard.
4 copies of Dancing Cutlass. So act in drop zone, you can bind another copy of it to call it to rear, and then you mill a card and countercharge. So this is a -1 from drop zone because you lose both cutlasses, and then you mill 1. So it's it does take cards out of your drop, but it's also the only way we can countercharge, and you need 2 copies to get it to work. So run it at max, and it's a very nice thing to put behind Baskirk, because with that you hit force numbers, because it's like, let's say Baskirk calls Skull Dragon, he's 32 with a crit. With this, it's 38, so you're hitting, like...
Numbers, yeah.
So very important, again, very important card, great guard fodder, stuff like that. 3 copies of Norman the Ghostie, so on rear you can retire it, mill 2 cards, and give one of your units 10k. So this allows you to speed your way to 10 cards and drop, because that's 3, so that's a third of the cost on his own, basically. I've had many a game where I go, alright, ride Ruin Shade, call Norman the Ghostie, retire at mill 2, plus 10k to Ruin Shade. Call Nightmist, call Norman back out, retire Norman, mill 2 more, plus 10k to Nightmist. So you got 5 cards in drop for 1 counterblast, which it's a very good card. You don't really use it later game, but it also helps you put more, it can help you put on more pressure with Baskirk because you make him bigger, and then also by milling 2 you make Skull Dragon bigger by 4k, so it's a very good card. Why am I saying it's a very good card? I put it in the deck. It has to be a good card to put it in the deck. Whatever.
It's a staple.
All right, 2 copies of Evil Shade. So this is another way to get things back along with Nightmist and Baskirk. So you can counterblast, bind a card from your drop zone. You call a card with the same name as the card you bound. So you're not going to use this that often, but because you want the most possible ways to revive things, this is just another avenue to do that. It's usually your last resort, but it's a nice 8k booster, and it can help you out if you're in a pinch. I wish you didn't have to counterblast. I wish it was just binds, but whatever, can't win them all. And then for triggers, because you have to, 4 heals, 8 crits, and 4 draw PGs, because of course. Yeah, so that was the standard deck profile.
Alright.
In terms of possible replacement suggestions, you can maybe cut a Nightmist for a tech of your choice, or cut a Blueblood for tech of your choice. But for the most part, the ratios are locked in because it's a very deliberate deck. I'll say that.
Right. Well, thank you so much for the deck profile. It was a great deck profile. Really consistent deck. It looks like as your fights that we recorded. And any shoutouts you want to give to?
Well, first off, I don't believe that because I lost. So, but yeah, sure, let's go with that. In terms of shoutouts, you already heard about, check out my podcast, Nexus at Night. We're a competitive Vanguard podcast, come out every Wednesday. I do have a podcast, yes, random guy. I just want to say hi to my co-hosts, Matt and Root Beer. They're very cool people. Awesome. And to all my Nexus Corps buddies. So yeah, thanks everybody. Have a good one.
Thanks guys. Yeah.